Welcome back to the Pet Era podcast. On this episode, I really have a treat for you guys. I somehow was able to wrangle the Candace from Pet Boss Nation to come in and share her air. How lucky are we to get a 20-year plus pet OG to give us this skinny? And guys, don't think I'm letting her off the hook. She's agreed to go in and we're here for it. Candace, welcome.
Oh, Natasha, thank you so much for having me today. I love spilling the beans, about the drama or the trauma that I've had. But no, gosh, I know I was on a call just earlier today and they were like, I think I've been in the pet industry the longest, 2007. And I go, nope, I got you beat, 2004. I've been in it since 2004. So.
Oh God, I graduated high school. Shut up, Candace. It's like we have to be the same age.
Yeah.
So obviously in the pet era, we want to hear obviously from your perspective. You've come through so many seasons. And I really feel like having you on allows our audience to kind of take a shortcut if they can.
Yeah.
You started the Pet Boss Nation and there's so many jewels dropped on your side, especially on your podcast. But kind of tell us back, like the way back when, like your day one in the pet industry and even how you got started.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, as you said, people know me in Pet Boss Nation. I've been doing this now 8 years. It just turned 8 years. But before that, I had already spent about almost 15 years like in the pet industry too. I think if I've done my math right, maybe not. But anyway, way back. So that 2004 was me. I was painting murals for kids' rooms actually at the time. And because I realized corporate America wasn't for me and I had an art background. And so I was doing that, having drinks with a girlfriend, and her mom had bought this like doggy bakery business and wanted a career change. And my friend was like drowning and didn't know what to do. So I was like, well, how hard could that be? Let's go like drink Miller Lights and bake dog cookies. It was pretty much like what it was. And so I went over and helped her and realized I loved the pet industry because it was like this cool, like being a small business owner, you got to do hands-on a lot of different stuff, cool, not just sitting in a cubicle. And then you got to see the dogs sometimes in pet retail, it's like every month. But if you live in an urban environment where people are walking their dogs, they use your brick and mortar as a place to like come in. So you're seeing people weekly or, sometimes daily. So anyway, I really loved the community aspect of the pet industry, but that's where it started. We ended up selling that business. And then mainly because they know this, but I started to feel like I was being taken advantage of, right? They were not interested in helping run the company anymore. I cared about it more than they did. I was trying to grow it. I was very frustrated. And I was basically like, you either need to sell this 100% to me or I'm done. I didn't know what I was going to do, but at the time, but I was like, I'm out. And we didn't want them to lose money off their initial investment. So we ended up selling it to somebody else. And I also was I learned so much in that process of trying, and I was only 26 at the time, maybe 25 actually, trying to figure out how to evaluate their business so that I could get by the rest of it. They ended up, when we sold it, gave me money, which was amazing. And I took that money and I invested it into building Dogaholics, which was my own, like 100% my own brand in Chicago. And I just learned so much. So in the beginning, it was brick and mortar bakery. Then it was brick and mortar boutique with self-wash. That changed to grooming salon because I couldn't sell any self-washes. And then we then expanded it to a second location that was a boutique with grooming. And then a third location that had doggy daycare and training and boarding. But then I didn't want to pass up the dog daycare business, like dogs that weren't passing our assessment tests. So we decided that they needed dog walking. So then we grew a dog walking business. And that was like, gosh, so 3 locations. And I was like, I think 28 at the time I had the 3 locations. I had like 35 employees and it was like a hot mess. I had so much debt and like, it was just crazy. It was nuts.
Right. Well, it sounds like you just got thrown in. You were like, we got cookies. So we got recipes and ingredients and a business.
Yeah.
And a brick and mortar. Yeah. So it's like, you're getting a little bit of it all. Wow. I don't think I could imagine, that side of it as my first experience.
Yeah.
But would you say that kind of, that full feet in really helped for the next phase?
Well, if the next phase is this phase in Pet Boss, yes, 100%. But I think that one of the things that has been different about myself or anyone who can be in the industry as long as we have, I think probably if you get to 7 years or 10 years or like you have courage, or you have the strength, the stamina, right, to go to weather the storms of all the ups and the downs and adapt or pivot or like figure your, figure your shit out. It's like you have
Right.
to, there were many days where I almost closed or was like, why the heck am I doing this? This is not a nonprofit. I think that how it set me up, yes, was that at the time, as all those hard things were happening, I was able to pivot or figure things out, come out on the other side of it in a more positive way. That now, as a business coach and mentor, I feel like the difference between my experience and doing this now versus someone who maybe has a marketing degree or built a software company, like they didn't eat, breathe, and live the stuff that our clients and the care providers experience, so I think that's why we've had success, because it's like, I know what it feels like to get a bad Yelp review or Google review when it's like, it's not, there's no reason for you to be getting it anyway, and like how that crushes your soul. Like, I know what that feels like, and I can help people
For 6 months or so thinking about it.
Right. Yeah.
But so when you started, I mean, you obviously joined, like, so let's go back. Like, you joined a partnership that was already formulated. You had to find your footing and what they had already established, and then you had to help grow it. You had to help make it better, and then you also went through the sales process in your first rodeo.
Yeah.
So there's a lot just in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did learn a lot. We ended up doing wholesale and like exhibiting at trade shows with the cookies. I had to manage accounts with that. And it's wild that one of our big accounts that we got is still one of my good friends now in the industry and kind of a mentor still. And, it's been wild to, when you're in an industry as long as I've been in, just to see the evolution of things and just by it, and see the clients too that have had to have those evolutions. I mean, so much has changed. Technology has changed, and consumer behavior has changed. Access to information and buying has changed. We're all so much more busy, with we have less time. So yeah, I mean, it's been interesting.
So would you say your pet era was everything you dreamed it would be? Like, now that you're on the other side a little bit?
Yeah. I remember my mom. So I left that company, right? I got the money and I took some time, went back home. I was living in Chicago at the time. I had a bunch of roommates, and I was like, I need to go home because I want to work on my business plan. I'm not getting any I'm not going to start murals again. I have enough money. I'm going to pay my rent, but I'm going to go back home and because I have a lot of entrepreneurs in the family who could help me write the business plan or review it with me or just encourage me. Right.
Right.
And I remember my grandparents have a business. That still exists. It was started over 60 years ago by my grandpa, but he had a relationship with the bank and was like, we're going to go take you to the bank to present to the bank to be able to get your loan for the business I was going to start, Dogaholics. And so I was very fortunate that I had that kind of guidance and mentorship and encouragement from the family. But I remember it was like the night before meeting with the bank, and I'm at my mom's house, like kind of reviewing things. And I remember her calling me up to her bedroom. She's laying in the bed and she's like, Candace, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? And I was like, not like, yeah, like, what are you got? She's like, the minute
why?
Go get that loan, because here I'm 26, I'm going to go ask for $200,000, and like go open a brick and mortar in Chicago when I have no family in Chicago, I'm going to go back there. And I don't know, it's probably the risk. Like she just knew that it wouldn't be easy. Right. So not that anybody's life path is easy, it didn't matter. And so I feel like, I don't know, but it was good. In that moment, she was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yes. And so, yes, but so I think, so I go back a lot of times, like, would I have still done that or said yes? And I feel like I'm just so glad that I did, but it is wild to think about all those moments where there were many years that were not easy. There were many years of nights of tears, mornings of tears, anxiety, there was negative money in the bank account, that there was a lot of pain in the last 20 years, but also I think when you can win, right, when you have those wins and it comes out and it shifts the balance, it shifts to the other side, and you're looking at your bank account. And I remember times I was like, I have $100,000 in my bank account. That's amazing. Or I have, at one point I sold my businesses and I had multiple millions of dollars in my bank account. And you're like, I never thought I would see that. I walked down to the jewelry store and I bought myself a ring. I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I'm going to buy my Range Rover and my, my ring. And then you go, I cannot believe. So I think one of the questions that you were like, talking or maybe thinking about asking was like, what would your younger self say? And I think the younger self was like, living off of, ramen noodles and couldn't fix her car. And now, I do have a Range Rover and I have this big, beautiful lake house and, 20 years later, but it didn't come easy. It was a lot of work. And so anyway, I think.
But I mean, just contrast you and I started my pet business with $500. So you walking into a bank and being like, give me the cash to put my name on the sign and
Yeah,
fix the walls and the floors and just make the whole
yeah.
design
All the
my
stuff
thing.
like, yeah, buy the inventory. Now, let me tell everybody, that was at the time way too much money. They should never have given me that much money, honestly. 200,000 is what I think they gave me 190, but I think I was even asking for like 250, but I really didn't need that much. So I'm saying is that you didn't at the time, I didn't need that much. I bought way too much inventory. I bought too expensive. It wasn't the right inventory that my client or the customer base really would have bought. I probably overspent on like bad advertising. So I used it so fat. Because I had it. I kind of mismanaged it too. I paid myself like 50 grand out the gate. I was like, hey, I'm going to be on the payroll, $50,000. Like I didn't need to pay myself that much. I'm just saying if anyone's, you can still like, because then I started my doggy daycare with 15 grand. I was like, I have to get something going, the point is like, you just never know, I guess, what is going to happen in your journey, but just, get started. Don't be afraid. Just get started and go.
So someone who may be listening to this and is saying like, I don't have a lot of money. I could probably hire some folks right now. I could get some inventory. I could do some ads. Do you recommend them getting that loan or what would you say?
Business needs capital, right? It needs cash flow. It needs capital. So if you can get access to capital, do it in a smart way. We're venturing into a whole nother opportunity now in the pet space again. When we sold all the businesses, we came to this town I live in now, a smaller town, and we bought a commercial building on the corner in this downtown historic area. It's a great area, but the building needed some love. It was an old Dollar General, but so we've gutted it, we've painted it, we've done a lot of things with it. But I felt like I still has some construction that needs to get done, and I knew that I couldn't find a tenant. There really wasn't a lot of interest because the building's huge. It's like 8,000 square feet on the first floor and
I saw.
another
If you don't
8,000.
follow Candace on Facebook, follow her on Facebook. She has a photo of the building because
Yeah.
you got it in COVID, I think, right?
Yeah, we bought it. Yeah, like
Okay.
2021. Yeah, but so.
Okay.
And, again, coming from Chicago, we were used to Chicago prices, and it was like we got a total steal on this property. And it was like we thought of it as a future investment. Like this is not, we knew it wouldn't be immediate income, but we thought, gosh, our 80-year-old selves might be really happy that we have like $60,000 a year coming in from like tenant rental income at that commercial space. Now it's been vacant for almost over 3 years. So now you're like, well, because we still would need to do things to it to either subdivide or find that bigger tenant. And there really hasn't been much interest in this small town. And so now you're wondering, why do I have this building? But what has happened is the Pet Supplies Plus that is in this town has closed, and there's interest that the manager is going to come over now and help with us. And then I started thinking, okay, if I have the team, I have the building, I have we can go to talk to the bank, and the experience, right? I have all of this experience from my own story, but also now having worked with hundreds, if not thousands of people coming through our programs and business education, I get to see behind the scenes of like what is working now, the best of the best, or what hasn't worked, and have so many more connections and contacts because I've gotten really active in the industry that now I'm like, gosh, this is like a no-brainer. We should really go into this. My biggest challenge now is just time. But to go back to why I brought this up, it was about the bank and about getting money. And so I hadn't talked to a bank in a long time because I've self-funded. Pet Boss Nation for the last 8 years is 100% self-funded. So, but I will need a significant amount of money to fix this building, to finish the building, and then go and buy all that retail and make this whole experience that we want to create. So I went to the bank, and it was so interesting just to talk to a bank again. Like there was no obligation. I just tell me what you need. What assets do we have? What can we do? What's the idea? One bank made it seem like, oh, well, it's going to be it was kind of more, I know the person, but it was like, they weren't the right bank. I can tell now they're not going to be the right bank to go with.
Right. Like a lot of red tape, or what do you think?
It was like less red tape. They're more community focused. Like they're going to make it happen. They work with a lot of small businesses in the town. And so back to your question about, do you need to go to get the loan? I mean, it's amazing what just $10,000 can do for you if it's managed right, right? Or if maybe you do need a $50,000 like line of credit, again, depending on what you're going to do to expand. But it doesn't hurt to just go start to talk to somebody because at a bank, because what they'll tell you then is what they need to see. And if what they see isn't good enough, then that's where you go back and go, okay, well, maybe for the next year I work, or even 6 months. I mean, maybe I need to work on my credit score. Maybe I need to work on building a savings account. Maybe I just need to pay attention to my numbers more, whatever it is, right? They'll tell you what you need to do. Now, that if I think if you're at the very early stages of thinking about what next to invest in, it varies for every business, but like we were just having a call with one of our with our clients at Pet Boss Nation University. We now do these monthly roundtables with the different niches because we support so many different niches in the space. And so we have a lot of pet bakeries now. And so we decided to host a conversation for pet bakeries. And there's one that she's baking all herself. She went into Paula from PS Paws Bakery. She went into a brick and mortar in 2023 out of her house. So moved from her house, invested and got the brick and mortar, put the kitchen there, and her business has grown 30% in that 1 year, getting that space. And now she's trying to decide if she should hire somebody. This woman still bakes everything, all the cakes, all the cookies, designed, frosts everything, helps the customer. I mean, how do you not have somebody already helping production, so that you can go grow your sales opportunities. So she's nervous to hire somebody and can I afford it? And I almost want to be like, how can you not? You can't not afford to, right? Because that's holding you back. Your fear of having your first employee is really holding you back from your, potential growth now in this space. So
isn't that crazy how a lot of us grow so far and do like with the stuff you think is the hard part, they've done. They're like, I did the hard part. And then when it comes to kind of the easier part, they're like, oh no, I won't know. I can't lead. I don't lead anybody but myself. And you're like, you did the hard part.
Yeah.
This is the supporting
you got
part.
farther than most people. Yeah. You got farther than most people would ever even dream or have the courage to do, So I had $400,000 in debt to banks. Or credit cards. I had the three locations. I was working full time at one of the locations on the schedule. So like if somebody no showed at the other location, we kind of had to put a sign on the door and we're like, sorry, no one can be there. It was tough. I had and then what happened is at the rock bottom, it was currently the recession of 2009 and it was like, and then the canine flu. There were so many things that were just so hard to manage. So at that moment, right, when I look at my mom says, is it worth it? You're like, this is not what I thought I signed up for. And I was ready to fight. I was really like, I'm going to have to file for bankruptcy or do something because I can't personally guarantee. I don't own a home. I couldn't get back to paying down that debt. I don't even know how. I should never have been allowed to even get in that much debt. But we're talking again, that's why that recession of 2009 happened, right? They lended to people they shouldn't have been lending to,
and overlended.
That's what happened to me. Yeah, they overlended to me. So, and then I couldn't pay it back. Eventually, to fast forward, I did pay it back. Just everyone's probably like, why is she coaching people if it was so bad? I did turn it all around. I did turn it all around. I started. So in 2010, I invested in I have 7 years in business now, or 6 or 7 years. I invested in a business coach, and I invested in learning. I started going to seminars more. I really started learning all the things, paying attention to the things I didn't know, having the courage to do to make tough decisions, and then turned it all around, right? Turned it all around at that point. But I think while we're really doing this, it's I think maybe the wow is that once I started doing that hard work, getting rid of that old inventory, firing toxic team members, cleaning up the employee handbook, getting firmer, getting better about holding people accountable, or just having those tough conversations as the leader in the company. It was wow, it really worked. turning the ship around. I was like, oh my gosh, we can make money in this business, right? We can do hard things. We can, and then still have fun, and wow, I think the wow moment for me is oh, I didn't drown. This is amazing.
I'm still floating. It's crazy. When you survive a tough season, you realize oh, I can do this. Sometimes just like you said, putting in those inputs you will reap the benefit if you are running the play by play, you are paying attention, you are listening to podcasts like the Pet Era podcast and the Pet
Yeah.
Boss podcast, and you're
Yep.
hearing how people did it and how they came out on the other side. And you're thinking, like, you know what? Damn, if Candace could have pulled out 400K, I'm okay. I will be
That's what I
okay.
hear from our clients. They're like, you know what? You give me so much hope because if you got out of 400,000, my 60K is not that bad. I was like,
Right.
that's right. We can do that.
Right. And essentially that's what it comes down to, because you had to gristle every 100K, 400, 300, 200, and then to get back into the positive. So that actually takes significant steps to do so. But like you said, empower yourself to kind of know your numbers and know what you need and what you don't need. Because although they offer it to you, we don't have to take it. If you're listening now, you're like, oh, well, maybe like, and this happens when I worked in the automotive industry, we would, fund everything. And they would say, well, I can afford it because you guys approved it. And in my brain, I'm like, no, that doesn't mean that. But
Yes. Right.
can you handle it? Can you handle it is what it means.
Because if you spend it, you get it back.
Exactly. So what do you think, one thing that you wish you would have known kind of looking back on those two seasons of your business?
Yeah. And I think that this is still relevant even now. I mean, we're doing work on it at Pet Boss Nation, but it's really truly understanding. I think the way to describe it is just sales funnels or sales processes, right? Like, I think we just open our businesses and come up with the name and get the logo and the website or the storefront or whatever. And we're like, they'll find us, right? I'll get on Google, or I did my Google business profile. And so, yeah, you might have some exposure, but really understanding the process of once you attract somebody into awareness about your business, what is that next step and how do you capture their information, and do you follow up with them, or do you know how to close the deal, or if people stop shopping with you, do you cancel their dog walks or whatever it is, how do you retain that customer or win that customer back or save that customer? And so that whole customer journey is so important to the health and growth of your business. And I feel like it just isn't given any thought to most pet businesses until they learn about it or hear about it. And then technology might trip them up or whatever it is, right? Or just the process. But I think for me, if I went back, look at like things that would have significantly impacted probably my revenue, it was if I had paid more attention to that process, no matter what stage I'm at.
Right.
We've even had it just happen at Pet Boss, right? We were focused on other projects and weren't paying attention to retention. And, we had a dip in membership, because it's hard times right now in business. So if you're not using our program, and that's why people have left, it's really truly that I just don't have the time. They don't have the time for it. So it's like, if I'm not using it, why would I pay? And you're like, well, this is not the thing that you cancel when your business is having cash flow problems.
Right.
We're here to help you.
If you don't have the time, this is what you need to make the time.
This is what you need to make the time. Exactly. Right. So but we weren't aggressive like that with people. And I'm kind of kicking myself one from the business, but really like we're here to help people. And I know we can help people, business owners. And so, but again, when you think about retention or sales pipeline coming in, like we didn't focus on that as much in 2024. So our business looks different now coming into 2025. And so we're leaning more into that sales process too.
I love that, because I find a lot in the pet business, a lot of folks don't come from like the sales and marketing. So every single month, your sales cycle completely starts over. If your audience is telling you like, I don't have time, it's like, well, then you're not following, like you said, that sales funnel to understand that how do they onboard, how do they offboard, and how do I keep this going in a scalable way? So that's really good that you brought that up, because I think a lot of times we get a customer and then we just serve the customer. And then we're like, well, if they need me again, they'll come back. And they're like, well, no, probably if you nudged me, I will come back. Probably like you said earlier, making awareness, then they'll realize, oh, okay, actually, where am I doing right now? Because I'm 3 years in doing the same exact thing and going absolutely nowhere. I love that you brought that to people's attention on this podcast, because we get stuck because we're not elevating, we're not going into the universities. We're not doing, the camps and the retreats and the workshops. We stop learning essentially.
Right. Yes. Yeah. On this example, my groomer here, where we take our dogs, she never even checked in or followed up with my next appointments, which I know a lot of groomers now might have the person that's checking you out might really make sure to ask, would you like to book your next appointment? My hair salon does it every single time, the front desk person. But the groomer, we're like one-on-one. She's passed them off to me. She's a solo shop. And she's like, oh, Candace will probably just call. I know she's busy. Well, then too much time goes by. So then I give her my little Pomeranians and she's like, these guys are a hot mess. You really should come sooner. I'm like, I would love to come sooner. I just completely forgot to text you. And so then she started like checking in with me. But even then she would get busy and kind of forget. And so now at least we've gotten into the good habit of like, okay, when I pick them up, she's like, another appointment in 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I'm like, yes. So she just needs that confirmation from me. And then before I'm in my car, she's already texting me the next appointment time. And now if you think about it, she's getting more money. It's $200 every time I take my dogs to get groomed. I used to do it maybe 3 times a year. And now every 6 weeks, she's getting $200 from me. Like that's a huge difference and a very simple sales activity.
To piggyback on that, when you're dealing with affluent clientele, you're their partner to take things off of their back. So when they check in with you, now you're giving me administrative tasks. So I'm like, I don't want to fucking do more administrative tasks. I'm not checking in on you. I'm not your boo. I'm not your babe. Like, I can't be checking in on you. But I can tell you what, Candace, let's go ahead and book you right now at 4 weeks, 6 weeks on auto. So you're already on. All you can do is cancel, reschedule at your leisure. You know what I'm saying? So like that sales process, you're leveling it up a little bit, but you don't forget about removing administrative, because that's what happened with me. Go, pump the sales. And I'm like, okay, so after I finish my, walks for the day, I got to go back to my desk, schedule all these people, check up on all these people. And I'm like, how can I put this on auto? And clients are like, you know what, Natasha, I really don't want to text you. Like, I really don't want to email you. What can we do? And I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and just put you on a recurring schedule. And that just became the norm. Yeah. So if you're kind of listening to this right now and you're like, yeah, I do book my grooming clients one by one and I text them and I call them personally and like all these things, your clients are not impressed by you calling them personally. They're like, you're just adding more drama to your list, but by not having me on auto, right? Right. So kind of being aware, like as we grow, like you said, having those back end processes that allows the scalability, because we get bigger, but then that becomes the new bottleneck. I have 2 sheepadoodles and I'm like, well, I go in every four weeks because they stink. Yeah. I'm like, and I don't want to do it. I'm trying to grow my business. And they're like, Natasha, 4 weeks wouldn't be bad. And they shifted to 4 weeks and clients start booking it. I really just wanted to add that in just to empower a lot of us, because, sometimes we're timid. A lot of us come in fresh as pet business owners and we don't know what we can or can't say or can't do, or, what a client is looking for. So you kind of getting ahead of them and letting them know, this is what's going to elevate your experience with me.
I think that, you need to position your business so that it can support the life that you really want. And I know that you preach about this a lot too. It's like you need to price yourself in the way that you need, in a position where you need to make the money that you need to make. Or if you want the type of schedule that a certain way, that you need to be able to adjust your business to work and fit those needs. And so I think evaluating your business, and this, you can do this at the state, even if you're already in business, you can rethink, reinvent, make over your business however you need to. It's not too late to make shifts. And I also think that I had a phrase, because now that we're going into this new venture, I had a phrase I was using a lot, and I feel like I used it a lot to allow myself to back out potentially of things. And I just had this realization this week, actually, maybe even yesterday, of the phrase is just because you can, right? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like and I say that a lot, just because you can doesn't mean you should, but that prevents you from, and that's not an entrepreneur mindset really, that prevents you from potential really amazing things that could happen, because you're willing to take the risks. You're really willing to do something different that most people wouldn't do. And so now I feel like that's an easy thing. Again, with this new brick and mortar business, just because I can, sure, I can make it amazing, doesn't mean I should. There are a lot of people in my life right now who are like, you're a new mom. Do you have time for this? Do you, there some people are like, is this the time? And I don't usually have people react that way to me, I feel like. And so like that was that shift yesterday of like, you just watch me. Like I'm like, don't challenge me. But like I feel like if I stayed that way, it would keep me small. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
this is gonna be the next most amazing thing in my career path that I'm gonna go do, leveraging all the experience and context I have. No one's gonna do what I'm gonna do in this next phase, this next era, right? And I'm like, I can, and so I should, right? That's how I feel. So I'm going to stop saying that just because you.
And a lot of times people give us the advice that they're living in their own capacity. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like with you, Candace, specifically, like God's put you on a mission and he's guided you this entire time and he's gotten you through and even
Thank
better
you.
on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's almost like your duty to show others and inspire them that no, we can level up and we can
Yeah.
level up in different ways. Like if you put the Candace checkbox, I mean, you've damn near hit them. And
Yeah.
someone else watching this could say, like, listen, Candace has hit them and she stayed in the game. I can hit them too.
Yeah.
Obviously being a mom, my two kids, I raised my babies in the pet business, and we definitely go through that pink flamingo phase where when they're babies, you feel like the babies are sucking. But if you're a true entrepreneur, once the babies get to 4 or 5 years old, just telling you this, you get your mojo back. You're like, I'm back, baby. My child is in kindergarten. They're out there and mama's here.
Yeah.
So sometimes everybody just doesn't come from that same spirit. And all the years you have in this, not saying it'll go to waste, but I mean, you're pretty deep into it. You've got in the Bible, like you've created it for yourself. Why not share it and why not show
Yeah.
people what it could look like? You could do trainings out of that new facility. You could do online programs and courses, and you can get. I think it's a very unique opportunity because you are that I know what I know now. A lot of us in the pet era, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
But now that you know what you know, it's a different ballgame. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Definitely. As a mom, as a pet business owner, I'm like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Not in a way of burnout, but you know the processes, you know the system. And one thing a lot of folks probably don't know about you that I do is that you're not afraid to invest in help. Like you're not afraid to catch a shortcut. You're not afraid to, get a mentor, like you've said before. You're not. I mean, how much have you? Are you comfortable saying that? How much have you spent in coaching?
Coaching, I think probably okay. So between the coaching programs and then the retreats and the flights and the hotels, 400,000 easy again. Go $400,000-$500,000. You should always surround yourself with great people, and great people cost money.
Right.
Great, whether they're team or coaches.
One thing I always say is that Candace has put $400K into her career. So that's $400K that you don't have to spend by just picking Candace's brain in the Pet Boss University. So that's Candace, right. Speaking of that, tell us what you got going on in the quarter. So share the full quarter with us, your university, the podcast, like tell us all the stuff.
We have a lot of exciting things happening right now, actually. So many exciting things. So thank you for the opportunity to share. First and foremost, my podcast, the Pet Boss Podcast, is hitting 100,000 downloads this week.
Love it.
I never thought that we would. I remember seeing other people's podcasts like get there, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to take us forever." And we did it in like 3 years. Yeah, so we did this in 3 years. I'm really, really proud of that. And I have been it's a weekly podcast. So I haven't been consistent with anything in my whole life except this podcast. So that's been great. So that's a big milestone. So please go listen to the Pet Boss podcast. You can find it on all the places. And then our program, Pet Boss Nation University, it is open for enrollment during the month of January. However, I will tell you that if you are listening to this podcast at any moment, I will let you in because Natasha's a friend of mine. So you know what you got to do, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But the website is petboss.com/university. Okay. And in university, you get access to our 8 years and all that $400,000 of investment I've had basically in an online course to DIY, pull things like cash flow spreadsheets, budget spreadsheets, learn about building your list, learn about promotions you should be running. You can even learn about how you're going to raise your rates to clients and talk about it. You can learn how to price your products and programs. We have everything. I mean, this thing is so robust, this online library. Then in addition to the library, just like, any college campus, you have your campus life, and that is where you have access to your community, the peers. We right now have 350 small business owners who are in Pet Boss Nation University who are part of that program that you get to tap into their knowledge as well and support, get what you need from the community so you don't feel so alone and isolated, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the community. Then there's live coaching and like actual in the moment. So sure, the trainings in the portal are what has happened in the past and that are foundational stuff that can help you. But then we have, like, just like college and university, real classes in real time that are happening all on Zoom. Either I'm teaching them or we bring guest experts. This quarter, we're focusing on digital marketing. So kicking off in February, it's all about social media foundations, because we have found that so many pet businesses have not optimized their profiles and are not really leveraging social media to support their growth the way that they should. So that's a problem if people aren't looking back at their own social, their own assets, their own websites, and they're not making a priority, because to survive in 25 or even to thrive in 25, you have to have a blend of an online presence, digital presence, and your physical businesses. So that's our focus over the next, few months, is really supporting all of our clients through some of that foundational structure that maybe that tech's been a little intimidating. But even if they have that down, like having like what's the next level, right? So they'll be like, digital marketing 101 and then digital marketing 201 or 301, maybe even depending on, who's there in the room that day. So anyway, that's what we got going on. So you can learn at the university about that. Also some other cool stuff. We're launching a foundation. So we're very excited about our foundation that's coming this year. We have our founding board members, and we'll be announcing some of the scholarships soon. But the foundation will be a part, like business education scholarships, as well as some grants. So again, go to petboss.com. And as that comes to life, you guys can see that happening. So that's the whole thing. I've got a meeting tomorrow or Friday morning with somebody of the film crew here that like lives locally. I'm film crew. They're a digital marketing company, but they've got the camera guys and come by. And I was like, I need to start documenting all this, because this is the next Netflix series. No, this is the next YouTube.
No, it is. We might need to watch this video.
Yeah.
We need it.
Right. We'll see.
I am so happy that we were able to have you on. As you guys have heard, Candace has over 21 years. She's done this. She's pitched to the bank. She's opened stores. She's sold the businesses. She's helped thousands of players. She's running foundations. She's putting herself back in the game. She's had babies through this. I mean, if you guys have not signed up, have not seen value, and reach out to Candace, I don't know what else you would provide, because, I mean, this is it. If you enjoy this episode, please DM Candace personally and tell her what you thought about it. Like, don't be shy. Tell her what the takeaway was. Tell her the part that you were happy she shared and the part that you're implementing in your business starting this year. Again, you heard Candace. She's rolling out a plethora of products to help you guys elevate your business. Share with a friend. Don't be stingy. And till the next time. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.